Welcome to The Pivot Point, stories of courage, resilience, and reinvention. I'm your host, Jessica McGann, coach, producer, and creative, whose mission is to normalize the human experience, ignite the soul, and move you from feeling limited to limitless. Stories connect us. And my hope is that within this series, you will find at least one story that resonates with you on a deep personal level. One that speaks to your soul or your current situation that will motivate you to keep moving forward, inspire you to make bold, brave choices in your own life, and help you feel less alone in the process. In this episode, I talk to Angela Gentile, whose positive energy is truly infectious. This conversation had my heart aching, my energy vibrating, and my cheeks hurting by the end of it. Angela shares with us the sudden loss of her father and how that moment sparked a whole new perspective on life for her. Angela was in her early 30s, working as a teacher, doing everything that society told her she should be and do in order to live a happy and fulfilling life. When out of the nowhere, one day, she receives an emergent call to visit her father at the hospital. What happens next is one woman's incredible story of choosing to not waste another second of her life living by other people's rules and to start living by her own standards, desires, and dreams. Today, Angela is a former public school teacher turned social disruptor, entrepreneur, podcaster, and speaker, and a professional hype woman and MC who uses storytelling to create impactful events, podcasts, and workshops. With an undergraduate degree in English from Fairfield University and a graduate degree in educational leadership from Western Governors University, she traded in her decade-long teaching career to dive headfirst into entrepreneurship. She is the founder of the Sweat Remix fitness class for the mind, body, and soul. And when her community was looking to take even bigger action, she created the Empowered Millennials community, helping millennials shed limiting beliefs and bust out of the status quo to claim a life they love. She helps people free themselves from should and claim their truth through movement, embodiment practices, and neurolinguistic programming. She is the host of the Empowered Millennials podcast with global reach and in the top 5% of podcasts. Her belief that we deserve to show up in the world as a full, whole version of ourselves have resulted in a strong global community of folks powerfully living their life. By the end of this interview, I was asking Angela if she would be my best friend. I'm not even joking. She is a fantastic storyteller with a brilliant outlook on life, and I'm sure you will love her just as much as I do. Now, quick trigger warning, there is use of foul language throughout this episode, so viewer discretion is advised. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. I'm really excited to speak with you. I love your energy already, and what you bring to. I checked out your social media, like I said, and just like your energy and your message is so positive and so encouraging of people to just live in their authenticity, which is something I'm really passionate about too. So I'm excited to hear how you got here in the first place. So maybe you could start us off by just painting us a picture of who you were and what your life was like before the pivotal moment.
Yeah, I love that you had mentioned you're so positive and like you have such a great message, because if you met me like 10 years ago, like I was a miserable bitch.
Oh,
I was
wow.
I was miserable. I was not like joyful. I was not in control of myself. I was not doing things that I loved. Like I felt very controlled by my environment. You know what I'm saying? Like everything was happening to me and I was responding to the environment and based off of what the environment expected of me. Yeah.
What kind of
So if you,
environment was that?
yeah. So I was a teacher. I was a high school English teacher in Boston. And again, when you meet me now, you're like, I could never see that. And I'm like,
No, if anything, I'm like, you would have been the most fun teacher ever. I wish I had you as my teacher.
Well, I think this version of me now would be like a kick-ass teacher, but I have so much more self-worth and self-respect than to go put myself in that situation again to do emotional labor and work that I don't get paid for and to be responsible for shit that's not my responsibility, like for $42,000 a year. Please. No, thank you.
And the school systems, like, I mean, on a whole separate note, but like the amount of shootings that happen in the schools, and like you have to be trained with a gun and self-defense and all that stuff. Being a teacher is
like
not easy.
I have friends in Texas who go to like stop the bleed seminars. Like, get out of here. Like, no way.
Stop the bleed seminar?
So yeah, like for their professional development, it's like how to stop a gunshot wound, like how to stop bleeding.
Oh, it's not like to help them with like the mental health aspects of constantly entering that area. It's about like how to defend yourself.
Right.
When that happens.
Precisely. Yep, that's correct.
Copy.
Yep.
Okay. So you were working in this world.
Yeah. And I became a teacher. I think we have to back up of how I ended up here, because who I am now and who I am in my like spirit is not, I wasn't fully aware of this possibility. I wasn't fully in it. I wasn't fully standing in it. I didn't think it would be an option. So in high school, I got to go back. I went to high school in the 90s. Okay. And like 1990s, guys, like the 1900s. That's when I was in high school. And it was just a very different time. Like the internet was not mainstream. Like I wasn't Googling things. Like I was still using the card catalog. So like access to information was not as easily accessible as like, hey Siri, you know what I mean? It wasn't, is she going to turn on? No. Okay.
You don't even have cell phones at this period of time. Like that's not even a thing.
Girl, bye. No, you had like dial up with your phone. Like you had to plug in your modem into the cable, into the computer. So I just remember being this big personality and nobody knew what to do with it. And it was like, Angela, tone it down. Stop. Be less. Like, you're too much. You're not a lady. Be a lady. Be a good girl. Oh, Angela, stop. Knock it off. Like from my family, from my school, everything. So it was, have you seen the Barbie movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I was trying to be put in the box and they're trying to like strap me in with the little plastic things, you know what I mean? And I didn't know, no spoiler alerts for the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it. But I felt like I couldn't be my big personality. And I was getting this message over and over and over again that I was too much, that this is not the right, like quote, right way to be. Because I wanted to graduate high school and get a Volkswagen van and travel around the country. Like I wanted to do van life in 1999 before van life was a fucking thing, yo. And my family was like, the fuck you are. Like you're going to college.
You're going to get a degree. You're going to get the white picket fence, the house, the husband, the kids, and the 401k. No van life for you.
That's it. Yep. So I was like, okay. Cause I mean, I was the first in my family on my mom's side, like where I spent most of my childhood, most of my life, like with my mom. I was the first in my family to go to college.
Oh, wow.
I am the only woman to go to college. I am the only person to have a graduate degree. I am the first woman to live on her own without a man. I am the first woman to open up her own bank account, to have her own investment portfolio, to have a passport, to travel the world. Like I'm the first.
You're breaking a lot of generational trauma here already. And I don't even think you're probably even at this time in your life conscious of that.
Idea. Yeah. No idea. You know, I was just like, my family, God bless them, but could only give me what they had. They could only give me the tool set that they had. And like, I had inherited this tool set, but the way that I was and how I wanted to live, like the tools that I needed to do that were not there. So I was like, well, I guess what I want isn't applicable. So I guess I should just be a teacher, because my guidance counselor in high school was like, Angela, just be a teacher. You have good mother's hours. And I was like, whatever the fuck that means. So
that was the actual, like, this will help you be a good mom if you can be a teacher.
Just like, yeah, if I could be a teacher, like I'll work the same time as my kids. Like I highly doubt you were telling that to the male students who were coming into your office, but you sure as shit were saying that to me. So I didn't know. I didn't know what to do, because growing up it was like you could be a teacher, you could be a nurse, you could be a fireman, a policeman, a doctor, or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Maybe something else, a mechanic. You know what I'm saying? Like that was kind of it. And I didn't know that, like, entrepreneur, please. No one was having that conversation. So I sort of funneled myself, and everybody around me was like, it's going to be a teacher. You're just going to be great. It's going to be great, And I'm like, okay, because look at me pleasing everybody, right? And because this is the first time that I was actually being like accoladed for something, even though it wasn't really what I wanted, but people understood it. So therefore I was like, wow, okay, I guess this is what I should do. Everybody's proud of me, you know? So I became a teacher. I did that, got my degree,
What did you
traveled.
teach?
I taught English.
Okay.
So I've taught everything from Head Start, so like pre-K.
Okay.
I kind of bypassed elementary school because that's not my jam. And then and then I taught everything from 7 to 12, like AP English, SAT prep, all that.
Wow. Okay.
Um, yeah. And I taught in Boston for about 9 of my 11 years. And yeah, so that was me. So now we're in my 20s, right? We're in my like late 20s at this point.
You've been
And I was
teaching
just
for 11 years.
I was miserable. I was miserable. And like I liked it at first because I was like, cool, I have a job. Like I'm doing everything that I should. Look at me in my Ann tailored skirt, Like I thought it was so cute. I thought it was cool, right? And
Yeah.
it was like I was getting like respect from the job, right? Like, oh, you're a teacher, and people were like, wow, that's so great. And I was like, look at me, I'm great, right? I'm great because of my job, not I'm great because of me. I'm great because of my job, right? So I was getting all these accolades for the role that I was playing,
Mm-hmm.
like dress rehearsing this role. So
Do you think
it just started to, oh, go ahead.
sorry, I'm just curious, like, because I can hear in reflection, you could tell what was off and what was wrong in that moment because of where we're going to get in this story. But at the time in your
No
life,
clue.
do you think no, you had no idea that anything was off. You just thought that this is how people live and you're doing the thing. So you're just going to keep moving forward.
Yes. Cause you go to college, you get a
Yep.
job, I was living with a boyfriend. We got the apartment. We got like the furniture set from Jordan's Furniture. And anybody from Massachusetts who knows what Jordan's Furniture is, you fucking know that you made it when you went to Jordan's. I just became like so burnt out and so miserable. And I was angry.
Mm.
I was
Angry at
angry all
anything
the time.
specific?
Just life. I was
Just
angry at
life.
life. I was angry that I wasn't happy. I was angry that I was being treated like shit. I was angry that my relationships weren't working out. I was angry that like my friendships were one-sided. And I didn't really realize that like I was in control of how these relationships and things were playing out. I felt very victimized in my life. And I
Like the
didn't
world's
realize a lot.
against you.
100%. 100%. And I didn't realize at the time how much work I was putting into this job, like as my job as a teacher. I was just giving and giving and giving and giving and doing and doing and doing and doing. And my life was not mine. I wasn't doing anything that I loved, that was for me, that I felt connected to. It's because I felt that I had to, because I was obligated to, because that was my job, because, quote, that's what a friend did. That's what a daughter did. That's what a partner did. Not that's what I wanted, but that's what the role that I was playing expected me to do. Does that
You
make
want to
sense?
belong. You want to
Yeah.
belong.
Yeah. I wanted to be enough. I wanted to be good enough. I wanted to be enough.
Yeah.
And my anger became off the chain. It became off the charts. And I was starting to have like meltdowns in my classroom. Like I was having like full out like rage monster mental breakdowns in my classroom. At one day I just walked out.
Wow. Yeah, it really just got to a peak for you.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't manage 150 kids with 150 needs and like IEPs and 504s and all of their parents, and then the professional development, and then I had to do clubs, and then I had to grade papers, and then I had to like put up a bulletin board. I was like, I fucking can't. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. And I broke. I just broke. And I was almost fired. I was put on administrative leave, like from my job, because they were like, you're unwell. And I was like, fully aware, fully aware.
Accurate. Thank you for
Accurate.
noticing.
Yeah, like I should not be here. I shouldn't be here. But I
Did
didn't
they
know.
offer, just out of curiosity, like, did they offer you anything in that moment of like, we want to help you here, so we're going to give you these
No,
resources, as tools, as mental health support? Nothing. There was no like, it was just
nothing.
like, figure it out, figure your shit
Yeah,
out. And then,
shame on you. shame on you. Even the staff was like, shame on, she's crazy. Like there was no love, there was no support, there was no empathy. My friend had to, shout out to Jackie when you listen to this. Jackie had to fly out from Chicago because I was like not okay. I was like, I'm worthless. Like, everybody hates me. You know what I mean? Like I had a real big fall from grace for a second. And yeah, there wasn't support. I was sick. I was not well.
Yeah.
I was
Thank
living
goodness
such
for
a
Jackie. I
Jackie.
love a friend that
Love
will
you,
show
Jackie.
up in the moment when you need them.
Yeah, like left her kids and was just like, girl, I got you, Um, yeah, and I had to go and seek it myself. I had to go get mental health support myself.
And
Which
good
is
for you for
fine.
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I just remember coming back to school. And I was like, I don't really want to be here, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't realize that it was the environment that was wrong. I thought it was me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was something like fully 100% wrong with me. Why couldn't I do this? Why couldn't I make this work? Why was I getting angry? Why was I unhappy? Why was everybody in this building like so pumped to do this job? Why was everybody loving it? Why was it enough for them? Why wasn't it enough for me? So if you're the squeaky wheel in all of this, like I just felt like there was something like inherently wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I'm carrying this. I'm like really struggling with my worth and my mental health because I was like, I'm a piece of shit. That was my narrative. Like I'm a piece of shit. I can't do this. Must be something wrong. So I came back, and then my dad passed away. I got a phone call. So I was in my classroom, and it was such a strange thing. And anyone who's experienced a major loss with somebody that they're extremely close to, I think when you put the pieces together, you can feel that there's a moment where it shifts. Like I felt my dad die. Weird. It's
Yeah.
weird.
I
So
believe that completely.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I I I from my own experience, like I do believe that totally to be true. Like there's a connection here that you can feel.
yeah.
What did it feel like? If you can remember that moment, like what do you remember
I
shifting?
do. I just remember being like, I gotta call my dad. Like I just felt very called to him. It
Yeah.
was around maybe like 1 o'clock. And I was like, I gotta call my dad. I gotta call my dad. And then I was like, well, I'm in the middle of class. I can't call my dad. And I was like, I have to call. Like I felt like
Yeah.
I had to, an overwhelming like connection to him. I
Yeah.
can't describe it other than that, than
No, that's
oh,
perfect.
something's not here, something's not right.
Yeah.
And then after school, I was like, I gotta call my dad. My boss came in, my administrator, and he started stalking me about some fucking bullshit. And I was like, I gotta call my dad. And then I didn't. I was like, okay, I'll call him when I get home. And I went to the gym. I was like, I'll call my dad again. And I was getting gas at the gas station. And I got a phone call from my stepmom, and she was crying. And she's like, you need to come to the hospital. And I was like, I don't understand what you mean. I was like, is my dad okay? And she's like, no. I fell to my knees at the gas station. And I was like, my dad's dead. My dad's dead. Like, I just knew it. I just knew it. Um, so I
And
had
she
to,
hadn't.
she didn't tell me the details. She didn't tell me the
Okay.
details.
You just knew there was something
I
in you
just
that
knew.
just knew.
I just fucking knew. I just fucking knew.
Yeah.
And I ended up calling a friend of mine because I was paralyzed, like on the couch. Like I got back home and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I was like, no, it's not, he's fine. Everything's fine. I was going to this like Christmas gala that night. And I was like, I should just go to the gala and I'll just like see my dad tomorrow. Like like I'm not computing
You're
and processing like
yeah.
what's happening. Like I'm trying to avoid this at all costs. So my friend had to drive an hour to me. I was like, I need you to come and take me to the hospital. And he's like, I got you. Drove. So I'm sitting on my couch in like the middle of the couch, just like silent. He came and got me, drove me an hour and a half to the hospital. And I get to the hospital and like my whole family is sitting in the waiting room. And I'm the last to get there. And then I see the priest and I was like, fuck that. Fuck that. Nope. 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 And like, look, shout out to anybody religious. God bless. I'm not. So The priest is trying to comfort me. And I was like, I think I said, get the fuck off me. I don't know what I said to the priest, but it was not like a moment of kindness, but I just don't like, get away. And I opened the curtain and my dad was on life support. Like they were waiting for me to get there, you know?
Yeah.
And I just felt my whole world in that moment of pulling back the curtain. My whole life divided in half. Like there was a before that moment and everything that comes after.
Yeah.
And I think that was the very first pivot that I made, whether I realized it was a pivot at the time or not, but it was.
Yeah.
My life irrevocably changed after that moment.
Trauma can do that to us, and great loss
sure.
can do that to us. It shifts something like chemically, fundamentally inside of us. I have that sense too with a traumatic moment in my life of like, I was one person before it. I'm not a completely different person now.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, like what happened to your father? Like this sounds like it was very sudden.
He had an aneurysm. He had a brain aneurysm. And like the funny, I use that word loosely, but the funny part about all of this is when we go back and check his phone, like, you know, I just talked to him. Like his friends, you know, his like boomer friends trying to text him and shit. Like, I just text him, and he was fine. And like all of this was around like 1-2 o'clock when this all happened, when I was in my classroom being like, I gotta call my dad.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
I felt it.
Yeah.
I can't, I think until you are like faced with this experience and have had it happen, it's like a near-death experience. Like, I don't know if that's what happens. I've never been there, but this happened to me. And if you've had a similar experience, like you're like, yeah, that's exactly how it is. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm not particularly religious, but I do consider myself spiritual. And I believe like we are connected to certain souls who are meant to be here for us, to give us lessons, to help us in this life. And I believe perhaps like you have a deep soul connection with your father. Like you could
I was
feel
his
it.
only child. I was his only child. I was like his whole fucking world.
What's his name?
And like Nikki G.
Nikki G. Good old Nikki G.
I look just like him. Like I look.
Oh, really?
Just like him. Like if it's weird. I didn't see it until he passed away, but I was like, yo, that's me. That's my dad. That's like, we're the same, you know? So I look just like him.
How old were you at the time of this happening?
34. I was 34 years old.
Yep. It's young. That's still really young.
Yeah,
to be losing a parent.
My dad was only 65.
Yeah.
You know,
very young.
Yeah.
Very young. What were you experiencing mentally and emotionally during this time?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. It becomes, I think the fucked up thing about death, the way that we handle death in our culture here in the United States, is it becomes a business. It immediately becomes a business, and you have to start making decisions. When you're sleep deprived, when you're like unconscious. Like, I don't think I had brushed my teeth. I think I was still wearing the same clothes when I went to the funeral home to like pick out caskets, because this is all sudden, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting at the table and I don't have it. My bandwidth for anybody, anything, my patience, like I'm a pop off at you if you say anything to me. Like I don't. So you know,
didn't have like capacity before this, let alone now.
Please. Yeah, no, not at all. So I'm sitting at like the desk in the funeral home, and everything is just like somber and like death and heavy. And it's like, so sorry for your loss. And literally they slide like a fucking laminated menu like across the table, and they're like, which package do you want? And I threw it back. I was like, I don't want any of these fucking packages. And I like threw it back across the table. I was like, I don't want to do this. I literally don't want to do this.
I want to run away. I want to avoid this. Like, get me on a plane, get me out of here.
I want to get, and then it's like, you start like fictitiously like it's like you're having these conversations with like a fictitious, like, what would my dad want? like, what would he want? What would he, and you like stress yourself out over shit that like doesn't even matter. And I'm not trying to minimize death here, but he's dead. I think if my dad would care about anything, it wouldn't have been his goddamn coffin, you know? I don't think he wouldn't have fucking cared. I don't even know if he wanted to be buried. I have no idea. I have no
Yeah.
idea. My grandmother was like, we got to bury him because she's super religious. I was like, I don't know. Should we just like put him in the golf course somewhere? Like, that's like
I don't
where.
know if you saw this on your screen, but the moment you were saying, I don't think he would have cared what fucking casket he was in or whatever, you went like this, and the lights flickered in your space. And I was, to me, like, I'm getting all spiritual now, but I'm like, I feel like your dad was like, fuck yeah, she's right. She knows me. I don't give
No,
a
he
cares.
didn't. I don't think he cared. And like when we're even at his funeral, you know, when you're doing like the wake and like everyone's saying their last goodbyes, it's like the Josh Groban, like he lifts you up. And I'm like, turn this. I literally was like, turn this shit off. Turn it off. And I took out my phone and I made a little speaker in one of the water cups, and we're playing like 1970s Chicago, like I'm a man, yes I am, and I can't help but love you. So as people are paying their last respects to my dad, I was like, this is it. This is my dad. None of this like sad shit. None of this, you know. So I
He
think
sounds like
it
he
was
was like a really fun guy. Like the energy you're giving off is that this guy was just
my
light
dad
and
was
life.
my dad was himself. He did what he wanted. He was just kind. He's very like chill, but the life of the party. And it's funny that I pick up on some of the mannerisms that he did. Like I do them too, and I didn't realize it until he
Yeah.
was gone. Like I am him. But yeah, I think telling all of that, like these were the moments of like, oh my God, I'm standing up for myself in a way that I never have before. I'm advocating for things that I I probably would have stayed silent before, but I felt this overwhelming feeling to honor and protect my dad's essence. And I wasn't going to be a pushover for that. Like I was my dad's only child, and like this I felt like was bestowed on me to live my life through him. Like he gave me, and I think this was part of my grief journey and what I learned from it and why I've been so brave with my decisions to pivot and to keep moving, because this taught me how to live. Like I started realizing like I wasn't living. Nothing I was doing in my life was for me. Nothing in my life was really mine. Nothing in my life was bringing me joy or lighting me up. And I was like, yo, if my life, if anybody's life can just like that be taken, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Not living it joyfully, not doing what we love every moment of the day and like living the ever loving shit out of our life. I was like, I'm just going to do that. And I started, even if I wasn't aware of it, really like standing up and saying, no, this is what we have to do. Like, this is, I'm doing this for my dad. This is for, you know? So I think there were small little ways that I started to shift my own like affect and the way I was presenting myself and asserting myself in a very different way, like almost immediately after he passed away.
I can hear that in how you stood up like at the hospital,
Yeah.
at the funeral home, and how you mentioned like you stood up for yourself in a way that you never had before. And it's like maybe
Yeah.
you had you didn't have the capacity to wear a mask anymore and pretend. Like wearing a mask to fit in and to be someone else so that you're accepted is a heavy fucking mask to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't wear it anymore. And you found your voice in that moment is what I'm hearing, and this power and the
Yeah.
strength and
100%.
this decision to figure out what more there could be to life.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So
pretty accurate.
where did you start? Like what happens next?
Oh man, I just remember going back. So my dad passed away right before Christmas, like of all fucking things. Like the
Oh
only
yeah.
gift that was under my Christmas tree was the one for my dad. I
You didn't
know.
have any siblings? Your mother
No.
at the time?
Yeah, my parents were been divorced since I was like a
Okay.
baby. So yeah, there wasn't anything connection like that. But yeah, this was grief was mine. Like carrying this as an only child, and shout out to anybody listening who is like going through loss of a parent as the only child. Like all of this grief falls on you. All of the memories now fall on you and the person that you lost, because I can't ask anybody. about my childhood and about our vacations together. So those are lost with him.
No one will
You know,
know the
nobody knows.
relationship or
Nope.
your how you grew up or the memories like you know
Yeah.
them.
Like what was the place that we went to get lobster at the beach? Like what was the name of the place? You know? What
Oh,
just little things like that
yeah.
um are also gone. So like there's part of my past that's gone,
Mm-hmm.
my future, and like I'm in the present moment, like not able to do what I would like in this present, but what can I do right now in the present that would feel most aligned to me? So when you're asking like what comes next, I think it was answering that question, like what can I do right now? Because I remember coming back from bereavement leave right after Christmas break because I was still teaching, and I just remember sitting like leaning back in my chair, arms folded, and I was like, I fucking can't. I can't do this. And I just felt like the concrete like I felt them like kind of close in on me, and I was just like, this isn't it. I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I'm out of here. And I was sort of loosely doing fitness classes on the side.
Okay.
Um, and I was like, I'm going to do this. Like that's lighting me up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a fitness instructor. I'm going to run my own business. I had never in a million years thought that I would be an entrepreneur. I know nothing about business. This is now January of 2016 with I have no business plan. I have nothing. I don't have a website. I don't have a thing. I have nothing. I was like, I'm gonna start a business. I left at the end of the year. I
Okay.
was like, I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna make my money, and
Yep.
I'm gonna like I loved the kids, and like shout out to the students that I had, man, because I came back from bereavement leave and they were just the kindest, most empathetic, loving human beings that I have ever experienced, and they were 14 years old.
Wow. I'm glad.
Like
I'm glad you had that.
yeah. I mean, they were just so much more forgiving and so much yeah, just forgiving when I like didn't have it. I was like, guys, I'm too tired today. Like it's okay. Or I'd be teaching and I would lose my train of thought. Or I remember one time a kid asked me a question. I was like, oh, I'll just like, I was like, oh, I'll ask my dad. And I said that out loud, and the kids were like, mm. And then I caught myself, and then I just burst into tears. Ooh, I'm gonna cry. And then one by one, the kids came up, and it was like a big group hug around Miss G. And it was just so beautiful, like that they understood like grief and pain and humanity so much
Yeah.
better than any adult that I've in that building specifically. But it was just a beautiful moment, and I was really grateful for them. And I stayed to the end of the year. I stayed to the end of the year.
Wow. That is I'm so glad that you had them and that they knew how to love you in that moment and how to support you from their role to the best of their abilities. Like you didn't have a class that was causing mayhem, like there was a
No.
respect that was taking place in that time, which probably helped you in your ability to stay there through the not wanting to be there at all.
Yeah, it was never the kids. Like it was never
Yeah.
them. It was just like the like I don't know, toxicity and brokenness of the system. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just so I started making a plan. I just started making a plan like every month I would give myself like tasks of like what I need to do to get the fuck out of here, and like how do I get clients? Like what I'm going to be teaching classes. And then I started like teaching classes at my school underground in my classroom, charging the teachers, like, and I was running like an illegal fitness operation in my classroom.
Like a
I got in
fight club, but
trouble.
a fit club.
Yeah, we won't talk
No
about
one
Fight
talk about.
Club. We don't talk about yeah. So I started doing that, and then like other teachers would tell their friends at other schools, like, hey, you should go to this school. So then I started getting contracted at private schools around Boston. And then
Nice.
I started getting contracted at charter schools, and then Boston schools were looking at me. And then I was like, well, this is a conflict of interest now. Like, I can't, and I'm only one person. Like, I can't be at all of these places all the time. So I was like, I can do this. I can do this. I'll quit. I'll just quit at the end of the year, and I'll run my programs at schools, and I'll see what happens. And That's what I did. So that was the pivot. That was like the moment in that 6 months. It was like a gradual move because I knew I wasn't happy. I knew I couldn't be here anymore. I knew that
Yeah.
this wasn't it. I knew that I wanted to like make my dad proud, and I wanted to like live my life full of joy, pedal to the metal, high octane, because he couldn't. And if that was the gift that he gave to me, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I can't. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to waste 1 second of my life. He wouldn't want that. So I'm out of here. So I started, just like I said, putting things in place. And then that September, I went in for the first day of school, got my new stack of sick days, used those sick days, and I bounced.
Really using it for every drop that you could get.
Every dime. Don't give me sick days if you don't want me to use them. There it is. Yep.
Um, I'm really hearing how dramatically your life shifted from the loss of your father and how it really changed the perspective you had on life and how you wanted to show up in it. I'm curious to know, because it sounds like this path to you was like so sharp and clear, and there was nothing that could stop you. And I'm curious to know if there were fearful thoughts, if there was self-doubt, if there was responses from family and friends that were like, you're crazy. What are you doing throwing away your teaching career and all that stuff? Like, what were the
All of that.
hurdles and the messages you received that you needed to work through in order to continue down this?
All of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think, okay. This is kind of a piece of advice, I think, to anybody who is considering making a pivot. Be careful who you tell it to. Be careful who you tell it to, because turtles will never understand the giraffe's view. So if you're telling your big dream to somebody who can't see your vision, then all they're going to do is just give you a piece of advice from their vantage point. They can't. There's no fucking way that they will ever be able to see what you see. And I was telling my dreams to a bunch of turtles, and I was getting turtle ass responses. Yeah, and but that's what it was. And I just remember like one of the teachers was like, "What? You're good. You got a good pension." He's like, "You're going to be able to retire." And I was like, ding, like light bulb went off, and I was like, in 35 years, in a whole other life, like in the amount of time I've been on Earth, another one of those.
Yeah.
To get to and to me, that just didn't sit right. It didn't sit well. It didn't feel like
you could see that path, and it was not the one you wanted to walk down. And you couldn't see all the way down the next path, but it didn't matter because the unknown was actually probably felt better to you than the direction in which you were heading.
That was it. I wasn't worried about those things. And I think when I started like really getting clear on like what kind of life I wanted, not the one that other people told me that I should, right? Because I should want stability. I should want a pension. I should want a 9-to-5 job. I should want to do this work. And I was like, I don't want to. Thank you. I don't want to do any of that. What do I want to do every day? I want to get up at like a reasonable time, not at 5:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? I want to get up at like a decent time. I want to ease into my day. We talked about this off camera and have a coffee and like dick around on social media. Go
take
back
a nap
sleep.
middle of the day.
Yeah. But no, these were things that I wanted to do. And I was like, I want to spend time with my dog. I want to be outside. And I was like, that's what makes Angela happy. And that's what I want to do. So I'm not doing it. So when I started saying what I wanted, I think I was getting a different perspective from a very different value set than mine.
Did you get any support during this time? Like, did you ever like go through grief counseling therapy? Did you have a coach to help you as you moved forward? I know you're a coach now yourself, correct? So like, did you find coaching through working with a coach and finding that? Like, how did you make it and keep going? Because entrepreneurship is not, it really isn't easy. Like I know I often feel so alone in the journey. Like it can feel isolating. There can be days where you just want to tear it all down and you want to go back to that safety net or whatever it may be. Like, how did you stay brave?
Well, I'm always in therapy. You know what I mean? I
love that.
I was in, I love therapy. I was in therapy, like grief therapy. And I think like during the first year, I was just sort of like it was kind of a loose sabbatical. I was finally just taking a moment. I was teaching just a few classes at schools. I think I was working maybe 10 hours a week. And I was making some money, but I was like, I'm just going to live off savings. Like, I need a break.
Yeah.
I need a break. Like, I've been grinding for like 15 years. I need a fucking break. So I think the support came from therapists. I think it came from the new relationships that I was building after my dad's passing, because some of the friends that were in my life like couldn't cut it anymore. They just didn't have the capacity to understand what I was going through. And
Totally.
I felt I didn't feel safe in those relationships anymore. So a lot of them, with love, just we parted ways. You know what I mean? Like I didn't
Mhm.
I found that people in my life after my dad passed also had gone through something chaotic and major, that there was a level of understanding and reciprocity. When I was like, yo, I'm fucking sad today, people were like, yeah, me too. And
Yeah.
I didn't have to show up again, because a lot of my relationships are predicated on my doing the emotional labor to make sure that you felt fucking great. Doesn't matter how I felt. And now that I didn't have it to give anymore, people were like, what's wrong with you? I'm human. I'm actually human. That's what's
Yeah.
wrong with me. Like,
For
you
anyone
know,
listening who doesn't understand the term emotional labor, could you
mm,
give a little summary
yeah, it's
what
just
that
you
means?
have to edit yourself and deny yourself of your true feelings, emotions, and needs in order to maintain the pleasantry for other people,
Mhm.
if that's a good way to put it. So
I think
you will
so.
edit, yeah, you'll edit yourself in order to make sure everybody's okay. So you
You'll
won't say what
suppress
you really
your own
say.
emotions to carry the weight
Hmm.
of other people's. You
Hmm.
prioritize other people's emotions above your own.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's a heavy
if you're
weight to carry.
if you're in a bad mood, I can't say anything to you.
Mm.
You know, if you're in a good mood, I can't say what I really feel because I don't want to bring you down. I should just smile so that you feel better and that I'm creating a nice environment for you, regardless if I really give a shit about smiling or not.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
that's why,
Mhm.
like, when a man tells me to smile, I want to like throw hands. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I think just having some of those like shifting of their friendships and stuff was really helpful.
Yeah.
And I did eventually end up working with like a marketing coach and a branding consultant that helped
Nice.
me build my first business. Cause I was like, I got this thing I do.
How do I
No,
get people to buy it?
yeah, like what is it called? What do I do with it? How do I spread it to the people? I had no idea.
Yeah.
So he was great. Like he helped me build my first business to name it, to and it blew up in Boston. It was awesome. It's called
Oh,
Sweat Remix,
congratulations.
and yeah, it was a fitness brand that was all about using movement. Like I don't even want to say fitness, it was more about movement of your energy, of your body, of your spirit. And I created the Zen Rage Heal process to release negative energy in your body, like rage it out so that you could make space and clarity for what comes next. And that was sort of what was helping me on my grief journey,
Mm.
was to release energy, to constantly be focused and checking in on myself. What do I need? How do I feel? How do I go get it? You know?
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
somatic healing, I'm hearing, like using your
Mm-hmm.
body to
Yep.
process.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
you mentioned your business as its past tense. Where are you
Mm-hmm.
now and what are you doing? And what are you
So
up to?
so Sweat Remix was awesome and it still is, but I don't do any live classes anymore. It's all on demand. So I'm kind of just like stepping back from being
Nice.
like the leader of that and just sort of automating it on my website.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah, I think it was time. I think I'm ready to evolve and again pivot again
Cool.
into something else because I've outgrown it. I'm ready for more.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
you could recognize that shift. You
Yeah.
knew when it had
Yeah.
completed its course for you.
Yeah. Cause I think coming out of a very toxic and stifling and suffocating job, I needed to be out of my goddamn mind. Like I needed to be moving. I needed to be fun. Like I was a caricature and I was wearing like fanny packs and silver pants and light up shoes. And like Angela was like in your face. And like that was my persona. And I loved it. And it was so necessary for me to like go balls to the wall to the other end of the spectrum. But I think I've lived there for a while now. And I was like, you know what? That's one part of me, but there's also like a very intellectual and spiritual and wise part that
Mm.
doesn't get to come out during these fitness classes. And that this is where I want to live now.
Which
So
is where?
I'm not in the Empowered Millennials brand. That's what we have now. And it is an entire platform to help millennials make brave, badass, and empowered decisions when they're at a major life crossroads. So, how do you get the fuck out of your own way when you're like, oh, I want to, but I can't. I should, but I shouldn't. Like, all that stuff. Bye. So, there's fitness, there's coaching, there's podcasts, there's community, there's workshops. It's everything you need to kind of take action in your life in a very grounded, safe space to be empowered with your decision.
Wow, that is it. It's like you took your own journey and your own pain, you healed and you moved through it, and now you're helping other people do the same with their life, to live bravely, to live enthusiastically, to live in alignment, to live joyously and fearlessly in their days. That's awesome. That's exactly what I'm all about. So I love hearing other people spreading those kinds of messages, and your energy. Like, honestly, I just want to be your best friend. Like, can you move to Toronto?
Please.
Like, I just want to hang out with you all the time, because
I've never been to Toronto. I gotta come. I gotta come.
Come for a visit. Honestly, I love hosting people. Come for a visit, because like there's something about your energy that you just like, I don't know. I'm sure the listeners are feeling the same way as me, because like I just can't help but smile. And although you took us for a little bit of a ride in your story, and it's not like a happy story necessarily in the beginning, but like who you are today is just radiating joy and radiating positivity. And your message is just like, it's got me lit up. Like, I just want to go and like go for a walk and call my friends and tell them how awesome they are. Like, that's how I
Please do that. Yes, do that. You should do that. No, I thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. It's taken a lot to get here. It's taken a lot of bravery. It's taken constant discomfort. It's of choosing your values, of choosing yourself, of choosing your goals every single moment of the day.
It's constant work.
Constant. Some days I'm better at it than others. Some days I'm like in my bed being like, can't do it today, but
I literally had I was literally in bed for 2 days straight the past couple of days, because I had gotten my period, and I was like, I don't want to do anything. I want to burn this business to the ground. Why am I doing this? Like, whatever.
Shut it down. Fuck
and then
all
now
this.
I'm here talking to you, and I'm lit the fuck up, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this thing. Let's spread joy.
And you know what? I think it's a beautiful place to be. I'm in my 40s, and I am a single child-free woman in her 40s who has finally like burned it down and is defining her life on her own terms in a way that feels good. I don't do anything that anybody expects me to do unless I want to do it. I communicate. I ask questions. I say, tell me more about that before I just dive in and say, I can do it for you. No, I don't do that anymore. Right.
Yeah.
And as I make yet another pivot of, sort of in this rebrand, my dog has cancer right now. She's the love of my life. I adore this little lady, and she's not little. She's like a 65-pound husky. But yeah. And when she passes, my business does not require me to be anywhere in particular. I have full freedom. That's a little bit freaking me out. For the first time in my life, I have no place to be, no responsibilities. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to take off. I'm going to go live internationally for a while. Why? Because I can. There are no rules. You're never too old. There's no right time to start. Just fucking do it. If your heart guides you towards something, do the brave thing and just do it. Just do it.
You sound very free. Like,
yeah.
Where we started, it sounded very constrained and like, fit into this box. We designed a box for you. You got to fit into it. And now it sounds like there's no strings that hold you down. Like, you are just free to be and live however you want.
Yeah. Feels good.
What do you hope that people who are listening to your story take away?
That they have permission to do the exact same thing.
Oh, fuck yeah.
and having permission also means that you don't even fucking need permission. Like, you've always just had the space to do whatever you want. Like, stop asking for the permission, right? Like, just do it. It is your life. You are not put on this earth to live for or be something for somebody else, even though the roles that you play may be important to somebody in their life. Like, you might be a mom, you might be a wife, you might be a husband, whatever it is. Those roles are important, but at the end of the day, you are the you in your life. So what do you need independent of the roles that you're playing for other people? Because I guarantee when you put your own life mask on first and start filling up your cup with the things that make you feel joyful, that will have this trickle down approach into other places of your life, like inadvertently. Your kids just want a happy, badass you. Yeah. Your friends just want the happiest you. Your pets want the happiest you. The people who love you just want you to be the happiest and most fulfilled. They don't care about anything else. You know?
I love that. I couldn't agree more. Angela, if someone is listening and they're like me and they're like, man, I want to work with Angela.
Yeah.
Where can people connect with you? Where can people find
you? So you can find me on social media, on Instagram at the Empowered Millennials. And you can also find me on the TikTok. I swore I would never be on TikTok. I was like, that's fucking stupid. I'm not going to be out here dancing and shit. No, I love TikTok. I fucking love TikTok.
You would be so good on TikTok. I have to find your TikTok account. I'm addicted to TikTok.
I love TikTok.
I do the TikToks. So yeah. I'm going to have to hunt you down because I'm sure you kill it in TikTok.
Oh my God. My friend Jenna's like, let's do a TikTok dance. And I was like, am I really going to do a TikTok? I do. I am. I'm like, we're in parking lots sometimes doing like a stupid TikTok dance. And I was
That's
like, this
awesome.
Is what it is.
Because it's fun.
I love it. Because it's fun. And who cares? Who cares?
And you can
come join.
Yes. Yeah. You can do things just because they're fun. They don't need to make you look cool. They don't need to fatten your wallet and they don't need to improve your career. You could do things just because they feel good and they're fun. And that's what TikTok is, at least for me. It sounds like what it is for you.
It is. I just posted, I did karaoke the other night.
Fantastic.
I cannot sing. Like I can, no,
You're
can
not
sing.
supposed to. When you do karaoke, you're supposed to suck so that we can all suck together.
Yeah. And like, even if you can sing and you choose a Celine Dion song, you can't sing. You know what I mean? So I just posted something on my TikTok of me like scream singing. It's all coming back to me now, like a champion. And it's funny. And I just like, whatever you do, just do it with your whole heart.
If I can find that TikTok, can I edit that soundbite into this video edit?
Oh my God, just go. I'll send it to you. Whatever you want. It's fucking hilarious. So bad.
I need it.
So bad. So yeah.
And your podcast, did we mention your podcast? I think you said Instagram, TikTok.
Yep. The Empowered Millennials. Come check it out. Yep.
I'll make sure all those links will be available in the episode description. So you don't have to question if you're spelling anything right. Just go to the episode description, click the link, and you can connect with Angela right today. This has been
so much.
Such an incredible conversation. It has left me lit up and inspired. So I'm sure the listeners are feeling the same way. And I'm just really grateful for your vulnerability and openness. And I'm so happy to hear that you're doing well in life today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and letting us know your thoughts in the comments below. It truly means the world to me to hear from you. New episodes will be available every Saturday, both on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And if you would like to learn more about my work as a coach, today's guest, or have a story that you would like to share on the Pivot Point, check out the episode description for more information. Now time for the legal stuff. This podcast is presented to you solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I may be a professionally certified coach myself, but hosting a podcast is not coaching. This podcast should not be used in substitution of working with a licensed therapist, doctor, coach, or other qualified professionals. Copy that? Amazing. See you on the next episode. Nothing but love, Jess.